Good afternoon. This is Ashraf Khan, and I'm in Preston right now in United Kingdom with a personality who has a contribution in the United Kingdom in social, business, and community pivotal roles. He's been here since six decades and has left his mark on the social structure, on the community fabric, and public and private pivotal roles, even if that concerns the business ethics and the business background that converts the whole infrastructure of the UK nationwide. A person with a background from Indian diaspora from the South Asia subcontinent comes from a city called Bharuch, nearby a village. Born in September 1956, he's been here since 6 decades, that is 60 years, and making his mark when it comes to community development, social issues, and even business acumen. Let's talk and try to get the maximum out of him because his dedication, his business acumen, his commitment and his efforts to make something unique that affects every life and gives a good result when it comes to social, community, and business roles is distinct in all the ways. This is none other than Yusuf Bhailok. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you,
It's,
Ashraf.
it's, it's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to have a conversation in person with you. And I would literally love to ask what mark you've left in UK and what developments and differences you've seen since you've come here 6 decades then and now.
Well, we first arrived as a family in the late 50s, 1958. So at the time when we arrived, there was only the beginning of immigration into this country. So in the decades that we've been here, more than 6 decades, we've seen a dramatic change. There has been so much change that now we are fully part and parcel of British society. When we first came, we were immigrants. Matter of fact, when I first came, I was the first one in my school, my secondary, my university. And people thought that was a novel thing. Now, our society from Gujarat and from indeed other parts of the world, but we are Gujaratis. We are still very proud to be Gujarati. We have a heritage which we also have in philanthropy and community development. So, over the years, as well as making sure that we qualify professionally and entrepreneurship, my main interest was actually in entrepreneurship. Many of our people came in the 1960s to work in the factories and work in industry. Now you see many people who are entrepreneurs in a very big way. And indeed, we made our mark also on the social fabric, in business, in politics, in community work. And also, we support many causes abroad. And particularly back to our heritage, we support many hospitals, many orphanages, many uh, poor students and poor families. And again, we like to do what's known as microfinance. Rather than hand out money all the time, we like to encourage them to go into business. So the development in terms of this country, the laws have been very favorable. When we came, there was no Racial Relations Act. There used to be signs there, Pakis, skinheads, and Irish and dogs not allowed in hotels. Would you believe it? In the 1960s. Now, all that thing is gone. There is equality, diversity, and opportunity for all. In this country, if you want to work, you can grab the opportunity. One should not have a chip on the shoulder, I am, yes, I'm Gujarati or I'm a Muslim or whatever. The opportunity is there in this country in every field. And so the country is very good. It has got a very balanced society. And for anybody who wants to do things in life, the opportunity is there. Obviously, there is some deprivation, there is some poverty, like in every society, but we have a safety net, a welfare system. So we are happy to pay our taxes, although we are heavily taxed at times. But that is very important that it's a caring society, and the opportunity is there for education, for career development, and also, as you know, in a country like the UK, we had a first Asian prime minister. The leader of the opposition is actually from an African country heritage. To give you an example in the high profile, an example of even in education, one of my own students, Sir Mufti Hamid, is now chair of the Ofsted. There are many people who are made their mark in many parts of society. In business, we've got people who now own many big high profile developments there. But we've also contributed to the society as a whole. My most proud achievement was in the 1980s when textiles and all the manufacturing closed down because of world trade agreements, the cheap labor in other parts. So we had to regenerate Lancashire. We set up Lancashire Enterprises, the first unique body between a public sector and private investment to regenerate Lancashire, trade, industry, advice, soft loans, and everything else there. So we've actually had quite an impact both locally. Nationally, I was also the MCB Secretary General, and particularly at the time, which was 2011 September. And we've been to many conferences, both nationally and internationally. And so we have had that feeling that we are stakeholders in British society. That is what's important. One thing I would comment is when I go back to India, I don't feel a stakeholder in Indian society because there is now so much division. Instead of unity and instead of having a society with one fabric, it has become politics which has been sort of not only partisan, but it has divided the community. So there has been policies in this country which has brought the communities together. Opportunity for all, and also the rights which we have embedded in law. So the judicial system is very important. So, alhamdulillah, I think we are very happy. The developments we've seen in 6 decades, we are no longer foreigners, although there are a lot more people coming in the recent years in various categories. But those that have been here, we are fully part and parcel of society, and no longer do we feel that there needs to be any new laws for us. We are happy, we can work within the system.
So you mentioned many things, and I picked up some out of that. You mentioned about taxes. You mentioned about the Muslim Council of Britain, and I would relate that internationally to something that's current scenario, a development of tariffs from the United States to different countries. How would you see that? You talk about taxes and the load of the tariff comes on the UK as a country. Do you think that would definitely affect the economy? The burden of the tariffs would be there on the shoulders of the United Kingdom as a country, and how would that impact people from all the spectrum?
Mr. Trump is primarily a businessman, and his policy of protectionism through tariff is to make sure that it's for his local industry. Like in India, Mr. Modi, when he first came, I remember the a phrase he had in India, make in India or made in India, to encourage people to have that technology. We had to find our own new industries, which were in some cases defense. Unfortunately, defense, the UK and the 5 members of the Security Council permanent members are the biggest suppliers of arms, which I think is immoral. But anyway, that's a different issue altogether. So we needed high technology. So we are in high technology in service industry. But Mr. Trump sees fit that he wants to do reciprocal tariffs. I remember we wanted to take one of my, I have a vintage car collection and I have quite a lot of cars. I wanted to take it to India, and to my surprise, the duty was 120%. I'm talking just about India. I think India can't say that it is actually annoyed by the tariffs because some of the tariffs they impose are very heavy. But protectionism doesn't always work, although there is a slight transition period. So it depends on the long outlook or the shorter outlook. We in this country are not competitive. So we need to increase our productivity, our competitiveness, and also we need to go out to other markets. One should never rely on a certain market. Like Canada relied mainly on the US. And if US imposes tariffs, then it's going to be a problem. So one should have also all the options open. The world is now a much smaller place in terms of trade because it's now, we've got various players now. China is the most competitive because it's got cheap labor. Therefore, it is unfair that they actually come here and supply coal and steel at small prices. So there has to be some form of alignment where we can take into account the fact that we got to be competitive. So there has to be some kind of agreement. The GATT agreement was quite good, but it has to be revised. So I'm not completely against tariffs, but it's a question of how much you put up in terms of the tariffs. I think for China, it's substantial. And that's because there's a bit of a warfare, economic warfare between America and China. However, in this country, I think we can manage. We've had a transition when we left the EC, which was a big thing. We were members of the European community. We left that and we had a transition period. I'm sure that we can manage this transition period as well. But 3 things were required. One, productivity of existing workforce. Secondly, we need entrepreneurship. For instance, we aren't producing high tech stuff in this country anymore. So our education system needs to look at entrepreneurship, high tech, sciences, and things of that nature. And more importantly, we shouldn't make a person rely on the state. The state is a safety net, but many people are reliant on the state because the safety net does provide more than comfort, and therefore they aren't encouraged to go into careers or into business. So, certainly the safety net should be there, but there needs to be a balance. So, tariffs, okay, but we need to make sure that our markets are much more than just America.
Thanks for having a word with us. So these were words of wisdom from Yusuf Bhailok that literally spoke volumes about the British exit from the European family to inter or independence from American tariffs. We'll again meet someone relevant, some face that you know, we know, talk on words that make sense and give you a deep insight of what's exactly happening around the globe. Thank you.